Good evening. My name is Amit Mittal. I am founder and managing director of Medaski Consulting. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most relevant topic about a practical framework for the cost optimization for home textile and apparel industry. And why this topic is relevant today in today's scenario because you can see there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, and due to that uncertainty, war and tariffs which were there since last few months, and what is happening is the prices of most of the commodities have gone up, be it oil, be it material, cotton, polyester, chemicals, trims and accessories, which has hit hard to all the manufacturers who are into uh, mostly the export business, because the contracts are being confirmed long back. And if you are able to get the benefit or get the little upcharge, but it will not offset your complete hit that you're getting from the higher prices. So let me dig deeper into what we're going to cover today. We are going to cover 9 focus areas of cost which impact any manufacturing business. Mostly, we'll be talking about apparel and home textile, but these are relevant to any manufacturing industry. We will cover around 100 action items. Now, these action items are important because these are uh, the uh, the most appropriate or the most important uh, checkpoints in any manufacturing industry in each department. And then obviously we will talk about measurable savings in that. All right. Uh, this is a little background about myself. I'm alumni of New York University, London School of Economics, and HSC Paris. I have been associated with McKinsey and Company for many years as a senior advisor. I'm founder of Medaski Consulting and also a founder of skilling NGO Ananta Mitra Foundation. We've delivered more than 55 projects which are large scale for smart factories design, technical design, and automation, and also for supply chain improvement and optimization. We've, we, uh, some of the success stories we've delivered around more than $40 million cost saving for a very large multinational company. Uh, we are not supposed to share the name, but I think our credentials are quite high, uh, and we aim to support around 20,000 businesses and create jobs around 100,000 jobs in next 15 to 20 years. All right, let's move on. What we are going to cover today is basically we are going to cover about the fabric and raw material procurement, where we see around 20-25%, 12 to 25% improvement. We are going to talk about cutting room efficiency. We are going to talk about swing floor productivity gain, how you work on those kind of things where the major cost is there. We are going to talk about wet processing, dyeing, and finishing area, where what kind of a cost that is impacting, and you can what measures that you can take to save and optimize cost over there. We are going to touch about quality control and rework reduction. Also on product development and design side on cost, because what parameters are creating more costly products and how do we optimize that. Logistic, inventory, and supply chain we're going to cover because that's where the working capital is sitting, and majority of the expenses, especially when your sea freights have gone really high, and there are challenges of air freights also due to delays in getting the material. How how you can optimize those kind of things. On top of everything, there are overheads and fixed costs. Now, obviously, these are something which company have a tight control, but we will give you some tips and ways to monetize, to optimize those things as well. And lastly, but the most important one, we are going to talk about compliances, sustainability, and ESG, and how do you optimize that cost? Because you need to be compliant. You need to. Everybody talks about sustainability and ESG. How you are going to optimize that in your business. All right. Uh, what we're going to cover today is almost 100 action items. Now, these are action items related to each and every department, which are covered in 9 sections. There will be a roadmap for next 30 days, which will have more than 35 critical points, and 60 to 90 days plan where almost 65 items will be there. If you can see in the chart below, there are savings which we have seen over a period of time from our experience working with our clients, and there are savings from anywhere between 10% or 5% in cutting room to up to around 25% in various areas. And these savings are in those particular areas, not the overall saving. So in that particular area, what savings we have brought to that. And let me share why did we actually have this webinar for our audience. We've been working last 4-5 months, there have been a lot of inquiries to us how we can optimize our cost, because raw material prices have gone up. There is uncertainty in the market, and our clients were quite happy with the work that we have done for them in terms of cost optimization, identifying the areas where the leakages are happening and how to overcome that. And they told us, why don't you share with for the larger audience, because this will really help the industry. And that is why we started talking about this and started building something which will help a larger textile and apparel industry. Okay. First item on the list is fabric and raw material. We all know that fabric and raw material is almost like anywhere between 50 to 65% of our total cost. And there are 14 items, out of which we are able to bring around 12 to 25% of savings for the companies, right? Now, out of these 14 items, we may not be able to cover all the items. We will cover the top items which bring a lot of savings for the companies. So these are the 6 items that we think that are important, which each and every company and the leadership should monitor. The first point is thread count audit. Like, how do you optimize your thread count? Many a times, customer do not mention what is the thread count needed. They give you a range. If you can play around in that range, you will be able to save around 12 to 15% on the gray fabric cost. Now, if this is definitely if buyer permits. If buyer doesn't permit, please do not get into this kind of a thing. Next one, on the towel side, there is hardly any difference between 500 to 500 GSM to 450 GSM. If there is no perceived value gain the customer is getting, will you be able to reduce certain grammage in your weight of a product, not compromising on the quality of a product? These are 2 big elements we've seen working with the exporters, that they try to optimize to the best possible lowest number, so that the customer is also happy and you are also able to secure the order and save the last penny possible. Next one is when you are optimizing a product, like the utilization of the fabric is the most important thing. That is what we call about marker efficiency. And if you are using a CAD marker, that will really help you to understand, okay, this much is the utilization of the fabric, and your target should be anywhere between 87 to 92%, or maybe little more for fabric utilization using, and CAD softwares will help you. If you're not using CAD markers, just a software for marker planning, that will really help you, and it will save, I would say, minimum around 1.5% of the fabric. Now, many a times we've seen the BOM consumption norms are not audited. BOM bill of material is made by the sampling or the merchandiser, and there are times when there are mistakes or there are some corrections which are needed. If those BOMs are audited on a frequent basis, you should be able, at least I would say quarterly, if you're able to audit the BOM and fix it right, you should be able to gain 3 to 5%. This is my experience that we've done for companies, and we've identified huge gaps and savings for the companies. Then long-term fabric contracts, which are not very relevant in this scenario at the moment because of volatility, but we've seen when you have a kind of a long-term contract with the weavers and the spinning mills, it really helps, especially during the volatility of the prices. And we've seen, if you are committed on the long-term basis with the suppliers are also able to absorb some of the cost. So we've seen long-term contracts of fabric really work, and recycle fiber blend. So what we've seen, even though a lot of people talk about virgin polyester, but can we move to GRS certified rPET, which costs 8 to 15% less? Many companies are already doing that. If you are not doing it, you can actually move to that kind of a thing, and it will help you in sustainability aspect also for the buyers. All right. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. We can cover once we finish with all the presentation, we will cover your questions during the last leg of the session. Thank you. We'll move to the next one. You can put it in the chat. Have you audited your fabric bill of material consumption norms in last 6 months? If you've done it, yes, found recoverable gap, put A. If your BOM were accurate, put B. Haven't audited, put C. And if you don't use formal BOMs, put D. This will help us and the audience to understand what is the level of audit that's happening in the company. And obviously, when we are talking about this, this is the important aspect of utilization of the material. Okay, thank you. We'll move to the next one, cutting room efficiency and sewing floor. I think this is the major area where a lot of people are working, and a lot of things are dependent on human aspect, be it resource utilization, like material utilization in a cutting room, or quality, or productivity. These are the aspects which are important. What we've seen, 4 to 7% waste can be reduced if we take proper actions in a cutting room. 4 to 7% is a huge waste. And 10 to 20% productivity saving can be brought by taking certain actions over here. Total action points are around 20. We will not be able to cover everything, but few of the major points are here. For cutting room, we are talking about 4 to 7% of fabric waste reduction. I would recommend to do the daily waste tracking. Like you should have some kind of a logbook where you are actually maintaining that this is my waste for the day, and target to keep the waste under 8%. Now, when we are talking about the waste, it's fabric utilized kg versus total fabric weight versus the waste generated percentage of that in kgs. Now, keep it under 8%. If you're below than that, that's fantastic. But if you are not below than that, you should be aiming to be under that. And this includes everything, end bits, side cuts, rejection, everything into it. Now, fabric inspection pre-cutting. Now, what happens? So the fabric which you are, especially in apparel, what we have seen, the lots are smaller, and a lot of companies do not have a proper arrangement for fabric checking. If they have, they randomly check the fabric. We would recommend that your fabric checking, if you are buying the fabric from outside, it should be done properly. Like other large home textile mills does, they do 100% fabric inspection after the processing. And there is a proper grading and marking system over there. Now, this really helps you to reduce your rejection at a later stage when you have done the value addition on the product. So check the width properly, whatever is required width. If it is shorter or more, you just get it corrected or change your markers accordingly. Bowing, shade variation, obviously these are important aspects of it. Next one is the panel layout standardization. Now, in home textile, what happens, even though there is a consumption which is fixed by the sampling team, but at the end of the day, it purely depends on the person who's doing the cutting planning. Cutting planning, when I'm saying the lay planning, and the patterns are they don't really plan well, and we've seen the ratio of products like flat, small, medium, large ratio or combination cutting. If they are doing, they tend to have variation in standardization, and we've seen there are variation of around 2 to 5% also, which increases your fabric consumption. So just make sure that panel layout is standardized. All right. Marker efficiency optimization. So what happens? Your marker has to be absolutely uh, uh, it has to be absolutely correct. And if you have multiple sizes to be cut, the ratio has to be fixed in advance. And once you do that, the ratio of cutting and also the marker is planned properly, and it is optimized to around 85% and more in apparel side, and woven side it should be around 90% approximately. If you are able to do that and monitor it, it will really help. And one important aspect, what we have seen, end bits and remnant control. What we've seen, very few companies follow this, but it is really important. Your marker length, right? Your marker or lay length should be multiple of the roll length. If you randomly pick the roll and start placing on the lay, you end up having different sizes of end bits, and that leads to a lot of end bit generation. Companies who plan their roll in a way that you have smallest remnants or end bits left, those are the companies who are able to save 2 to 3% on your fabric. And it is, and there are softwares which are available in the market, which you can utilize for best suitable roll for the marker length that you would need. We would recommend to invest on those kind of a things, so that at least you are able to save 2-3% in fabric. And it is huge, I can tell you, it's huge. 2-3% saving in the fabric end bits is a huge saving that can come in. All right, we'll move to the next one, the cutting floor. So there are again around 10 items which we mostly do with the companies, but here we are just talking about 5. First, an important thing is line efficiency tracking daily. what we have seen, there are multiple thought process in the industry that people say that we are doing the line efficiency tracking on a daily basis. What we have seen, they only do it for tailors or operator. They don't do for others like checkers, finishers, packers. And if you see the industry, you will find the tailor man machine ratio is approximately around 1 is to 2.5 or 1 is to 2.8 also, depending on the product and all. But what we have seen, if you're just tracking only the operators and not the other part of the business, then you're leaving around 40 to 50% or maybe 60% of the people not being measured for productivity and efficiency. And that is a big gap. All right. Line efficiency means the entire line, including checking, finishing, packing. If you're not doing it, start doing it. And there are other aspects in efficiency we will cover over here. There are bottlenecks in operations. Are you identifying the operation bottlenecks when already the damage is done, or there are ways that you are able to find before you start the line, the bottleneck area, and you can work on some or the other solution before you start. And even after starting the line, if there are bottlenecks, you need to identify those top 3 bottlenecks and try to rebalance the line properly so that you are able to get the best solution, best output of the line. Next one is machine preventive maintenance schedule. Like what happens many a times, what we've seen, people think that one machine is broken down, that's fine, but that one machine might be creating an issue for your entire assembly line. The operator is waiting for the mechanic to come and attend to that repair work, and those kind of things go unrecorded. And when we start recording that, we realize 10 to 15% of your productivity is compromised just because of that. And what we have done, there are again the preventive machine schedule, maintenance preventive maintenance schedule should be properly followed. One, and second, if any breakdown is there, it should be attended immediately. Create a log where when did the machine stop and when did the machine got fixed, what was the time between that. And try, once you get the data, you will be able to work on solution to reduce that breakdown time for the machine. And there are many ways to do that. SAM validation. Now, what we've seen, majority of the industry follow the standard time study. They will check for 3 to 5 operations, operation cycle, and then they will try to average those cycle to fix the SAM value of that operation. And likewise for the entire product, they will fix like that. But what we've seen, when they're fixing it, they add a lot of buffers in that. And these buffers changes from person to person. And over a period of time, because of certain pressures and other challenges, they tend to increase buffer over a period of time. And what we've seen, you would need some kind of a digital intervention over there where the buffers are fixed, or the buffers are fixed before even the time study is taken. And there are methods and the softwares which are available in the market which will help you to standardize your SAM value. All right. Please do that. And we've practically seen wherever we've gone, wherever we've done the time study of the product, we were able to reduce 10 to 20% of SAM values, resulting in huge cost saving for the company. You can imagine if if it is a 1,000 machine factory, and if you are able to reduce 10% of the SAM value, and if it is a piece rate worker, you are able to reduce your prices. If it is a daily wage worker, then what happens? You will be able to understand my efficiency is not actually at 60-65%, it might be at 55%. You start working on improving it. So those kind of improvement and cost uh, realization happen in that. And one more important aspect is the operator skill matrix. Many companies are dependent on supervisors' capability to put the right operator onto the line for that particular operation. But if that supervisor is missing, or if he leaves the job, or if he makes a mistake, then your line balancing goes for a toss, right? So one important aspect is you need to have a database of operator skill matrix, a database, digital database, where you are able to identify which operations are best done by which operator and put the right operator in the right operation. And this will help you to reduce the changeover time over 20 to 30%. And we've practically seen it. There are also other aspect of reduction in changeover time that we work on, but this is one of the key driver in that. Okay, so we touched around 5 aspects of cost saving. Believe me, these are really important aspects, and it brings a lot of savings to the company. Now we move on to the wet processing, dyeing, and finishing. Uh, there are 14 items that we work on in this, and we estimate around anywhere between 50 to 35% on wet cost saving. And this is important because uh, around 60%, approximately around up to 60-65% is the cost of a fabric, and wet processing element is quite huge in that. So we are going to touch on 8 areas in wet processing that really helps. First, the most important thing is right first time, RFT dyeing. Now, what we have seen that your 60 to 80% of your cost is uh, you lose your 60 to 80% of the dyeing cost just by doing one more RFT. So one more time re-dyeing. Now imagine, like, if you are able to improve from, say for example, 85% right first time to 90%, what kind of a cost saving will happen? So right first time should be visible on the shop floor. What is your current percentage and what is your target for the month, for a week, and for a day? And start working on the parameters which are leading to re-dyeing. And if you're able to start fixing those parameters, you should be able to start getting improvement in the right first time. Second one is the liquid reduction, ratio reduction. Now we know that water and chemical are used, and dyes are used substantially to for dyeing process. Now, if you are able to reduce your liquor ratio by 1/10, by 10%, or even more, you can imagine the cost saving. Now, it is not just the water, chemical, or dye saving, it's also the savings on effluent treatment, which also get reduced, right? So liquor ratio, I can share a small story on this. We worked with the one company where they were facing problem of water because they didn't have zero liquid discharge ETP plant. That time it was around 6-7 years back, and they started working on ways that they can reduce the water usage and effluent generation. And what has happened, they came out with a unique proposition of making a paste which which help them to reduce water utilization by around 50 to 60%. and overall their ETP effluent generation has gone down, and also the water requirement has gone down. And so this is one of the story that I'm talking about, but there must be definitely each manufacturing company have their own success stories. And I'm pretty sure there are smart people who have many solutions, but keep monitoring on liquor ratio reduction. Next one is reactive dyeing recipe optimization. Now, you can always work on alternate dyes and chemicals for the right recipes. There are better recipes which are eco-friendly and which reduces your dye cost. Start working on alternatives so that you can start cutting around 15 to 20%. In last 6 months, we've seen there are companies who have moved from the existing long-term used dyes to the new dye, wherein they were able to save around 10 to 20% on the dye cost. I would request you to relook on those areas, and if needed, we can help you to work on those areas, which will help you to reduce your dye cost. Now, VFD pumps. Now, this is not new to the industry, but what we've seen, if you have motors or pumps are 5 kilowatt or more, it's always good to have a variable frequency drive pumps, which will help you to save 25 to 40% of the power cost. Now, this is important. Many companies have the old machines. I would suggest, if you are able to gradually change your pumps from the existing ones to variable frequency drive pumps, there's a huge saving in that. What we have seen in steam and boiler, there are leakages which keep happening for many days and months. If you fix it over a period of time, again it opens up or it starts leaking again from some other place. We would request to have a proper check and audit on your steam lines and ensure that the faulty traps are being addressed or changed, which will save around 10 to 30% of the steam. Okay, you need to have around this is the important aspect, because what we've seen, if you start measuring if the places that the number of places that trap is leaking, you will understand the kind of leakage is happening. And if you start monitoring that and fixing it immediately, because one day steam loss is much more than the cost of changing a trap. Right? So just be aware of that and then start acting on that area. Chemical dosing automation. Many people believe that automated dosing system is expensive. Yes, we also know it is expensive, but there are always phased solutions that you can work on. There are semi-automation way where your wastage of chemicals, dyes, or liquids can be controlled to substantially. You can have a plan for 2 to 3 years, and over that time you can gradually shift from manual chemical dosing to semi-automatic, and which can be upgraded to automatic ones. We can help you to do that, because this is an important aspect. Next one is effluent treatment and water recycling. What we have done, what we have seen that if your effluent, if you are able to reduce water cost, if you are like when you work on your liquor ratio, automatically your effluent treatment and recycling cost will go down. Many companies do not have zero liquid discharge, but what we have seen over a period of time, this is becoming more and more stringent for companies to bypass any kind of a requirement. So it's important that you start working on having a proper ETP where your water can be recycled and you are able to save that cost. I understand the cost of getting fresh water is lower than recycling it, but it's also important that you have to understand from pollution standpoint and how much this is important. And government is becoming tighter and tighter day by day on these norms, so you need to abide by that. Energy monitoring system, like all your machines should have, the major machine should have a sub meters, and once you have a sub meter, you should have a way to get that data in a centralized place where you are able to monitor the daily usage of electricity or energy versus the output of the machine, and try to fix per kg or per meter cost or unit consumption. And you will be surprised when there are fluctuation. You immediately can identify why this fluctuation is there, and you can start fixing those. We've seen by doing this, you will be able to save around 15% of the energy which is being uh, uh, consumed at the moment. Uh, Quick question: Can I, if you can just type, how much is your right first time percentage in your dyeing process house? Is it above 90%? Is it 75 to 90%? Is it below 75? Or we don't track it? D. So just put A, B, C, D into the chat box. I think this is important aspect, because if you know your right first time and if you are targeting higher numbers, you should be able to find right solution for the problems which are causing the right first time. All right. Next one is the quality cost and rework reduction. What we've seen, the quality uh, definitely gets a priority, and but what happens when the pressures are there? Do we compromise on quality? Do we try to bypass certain norms? So there are, you need to understand what is the cost of poor quality. And I would say the cost of poor quality is 4 to 8% of the revenue, which is huge. Not many companies have 5 to 8% of margin. And if your cost of poor quality is 4 to 8% when you start measuring it, then you would realize why it is important. So first item on this is basically cost of poor quality tracking. Like, and what you need to capture, you need to capture the rework, you need to capture rejects, returns, chargebacks, all in one consolidated ledger to understand what is your cost of poor quality. And it can be because of raw material, it can be human error, it can be because of dyeing, it can be anything. But at the end of the day, company is losing money because of the poor quality. It can be customer return also. Second thing, what we have seen, inline quality inspection. A lot of people have inline quality inspection and they have inspectors designated on a production floor. What we've seen, it's not fixed, it's random. When we fix that, every 5 operators, you have a checking station where you are able to control the quality. Your rejection or reworks reduces by 60 to 70%. Now imagine the cost of rework versus if you are putting one operator, one checker over there after every fifth or sixth machine, your reworks reduces drastically. The checker can immediately go to the operator and fix the problem rather than having a problem at the end of the line when all the value addition has happened on the product. This is the important aspect, and we've seen because of this there are a lot of improvement which is happening. The top 5 defects, Pareto display. Now, most of the companies know about the Pareto chart. What you need to do is, what are the top 5 defects for a week? and focus just on three, the top three ones. And once you start working for next week on those three defects, I can assure you in 5 to 6 weeks, you will be able to eliminate, not eliminate, but at least there's a reduction of 50 to 60% in those types of defects. And people become more aware about it, right? So you need to have the quality circles and talking about what kind of defects are coming and how do we address those defects. And people will come out with solution and start implementing those solutions to reduce those kind of defects. Then next one is the buyer chargeback or root cause. So what we've seen, most of the chargebacks are because the problems of the problems which are ours only, and these are related to fabric. It can be related to poor workmanship, or poor packaging, or maybe poor wrong labeling. Now these chargebacks, you need to have a consolidated sheet of the chargeback by customer, and then identify the root cause of those chargeback. And once you start maintaining the log of that, and you start working on those aspects of chargeback, I can assure you in next 2 months, 1.5 to 2 months, you will be able to reduce it drastically. And we've seen that. We've seen that when we work on production floor with the quality team and production team, we realize that certain things are known to the people, but they don't focus on reducing it. They are in firefighting, managing the shipments on time, and not focusing on how to reduce the defects and how to minimize the chargeback which may come in future because of urgency. All right. And next one is second quality. Basically, if you have generated a second quality, there should be A and B grading in that. You should not be giving a discount random without having a proper grading of a product that we graded seconds into two categories. A is so much, so we can offer you a discount of 10-15%, and B is so much, we can offer you a discount of maybe around 20, 30, 40%, whatever works for you. And scrap only which is not repairable or not this thing. So this is important because we have seen people just offer discount on a overall shipment rather than grading the product. This also helps you to reduce your rejection and obviously the cost. All right. This is important. Give me a minute. Okay. This is an important topic: product development and design for cost. Why did we put for cost over here? Because product development and design team is very creative people and very hardworking. They spend hours and hours to create a new product and new idea. And what happens when cost is overlooked at that? And how do you bring the cost element into your design aspect? So first and most important thing, when you are at a briefing stage of a design, at that point only you just fix the cost. This is the target cost that we are targeting for this kind of a product range. Now, when you're designing a product, fix, okay, this is around $10 product. Now, within that $10 product, I need to pick the right fabric, I need to pick the right fabrication, and I need to pick the right packaging material so that I'm able to offer a product with a fair margin to the customer at around $10. This is what is important. Many a times what we've seen, we create a product and then we start doing the costing and we realize it is not fitting into the range of a customer. And then after that, we start redeveloping a product with a reduced cost. We try to cut in fabric, we try to reduce embroidery, whatever. But if your design team and product development team is aware of the cost which is needed, And if there is a fair small breakdown of that, then I think things become much more easy and cost effective, because redeveloping of a product takes a lot of time, effort, delays, and also the cost. Now, second one is what we have seen. When you do the pre-production, your costing is different. But when actually the product was made, the costing has been revised. It might be improved, it might be increased. Now, whenever you are running a new product, you should always do the first run cost analysis and check the variance. And if there is a variance, it should be plugged into the system within 7 days. This will help your product development team and merchandising team to know that this is the revised cost, rather than facing a problem later on. Because what we've seen multiple times, similar product comes in production, but the costing is a challenge because costing has not been updated by the team members. Next one is we go to the market, we pick up a lot of trims as per the market trend and all, but we don't standardize them. And we just use those trims and accessories onto the product. And later on, when the order comes in, we realize it's really difficult for us. It's really difficult for us to source that trim, or it may be a volume issue, it may be a price issue, it can be any issue. What we suggest is, like, whenever you are working on a season, before the season start, look at your trim and accessory library, upgrade it, and get it vetted by a purchase team. Once you do that, your prices are fixed, your team is clear about it. There is, later on, you don't have any major issues related to trim sourcing and those kind of products. Next one is value engineering. What happens, like, what are the top 20 products which are running in your company? Pick those 20 products and start value engineering of those products. Go deeper into fabric, count, construction, dye, then on trims, accessories cost, how to improve on that. Then work on polybag, anything. It can be trim gauge, it can be improvement in that. How can you minimize the cost in that? That exercise, I can assure you, each product you will be able to save 10 to 15% of the cost. I know many of you do it, but you will only do it for the orders which are in negative, but you will not do it for the orders which are in profit. I would recommend pick top 20 SKUs and start doing it for that. I can assure you, you will find a major gap in that, and you will have a big saving. Next one is, we all know that samples are needed for us to receive an order. But in a fast changing world, the e-commerce world, there are softwares which replicate the fabric, the fall, the drape, and they show you the products as if you are seeing the product from in front of you. Some software which are like Clo3D or Browseware, these are the good products for apparel manufacturers to use and use them into their day-to-day design capability. This will help them to reduce their sampling development cost by almost by 40 to 60%. If it is important that you are able to convince your customer, and you are able to get the you can do some trials initially and then try to replicate that into a final product. We've seen good success stories after using good softwares. And next one, the last one, is packaging right size. Believe me, the first pack which is being worked on may have some buffers into it, because the product was not stitched in all sizes, and there are some margins of improvement in that. Now imagine if you are 1 centimeter, your gauge is more of each carton. how much the volume in a container that 1 centimeter will lead to. That means after you've done your first pre-production, you need to relook at the packaging and try to improve on polybags. Maybe a polybag of around 50 micron can be reduced to 45 microns. Check that if that is a possibility. Cartons, can you resize it? Can you make it more compact? Is there a space of improvement in that? Now, all these savings not just reduce your packaging cost, but also on the logistics cost as well. So start working on that. Pick the top 20 SKUs again and then do that. There's a big saving in that. All right. Next one. Does your team set target cost ceiling before new style or SKU is designed? The first one, what I mentioned, that you need to fix the cost before you cost range before you develop a product. This really helps you to ensure that your product is fitting into the price target of your customer. If you are doing it, say yes. If you're sometimes doing it, say B, C for rarely, and D for no. Just put this into a chat box. It will really help others also to understand the industry, what is happening in the industry. All right. Thank you. We move on to the next one, the 7th and 8th one out of the 9 areas that we are covering today. Now, 7th one is the logistics and inventory, and 8th one is overhead. Okay. Now, again, roughly 20 items. We will be covering few of the top ones. In freight, we've seen around 10 to 20% freight saving, and obviously working capital reduction in inventory controls, right? And around 10 to 25% overhead saving from the actions or from the suggestions and the areas that we are going to cover. On the left side, you can see we have logistics and inventory, and on the right side, we have overheads and fixed costs. On logistics and inventory, you know that air freight is 4 to 6 times of the sea freight. If you are able to fix your air freight, should be under 2% of annual shipping volume. That is one area. Second is, how do you ensure that your air freights are really controlled in terms of, like, there should be some approval system where air freights decisions are only taken by the top leadership only, right? Do not commit air freight, because many a time we have seen the air freight is linked to the issues which are related to customer also, right? And it is difficult to address that, but there may be a way that you can find to reduce that. Start working on that. Second one under that is SLOB, which is slow moving and obsolete stock. What we have seen, 2 to 4% of annual revenue gets tied in the dead working capital. And over a period of time, what we have seen, your fabric warehouse or your trim warehouse or even the finished goods warehouse has around 15 to 20% of the stock which is non-moving. And it's a huge inventory. And after 3 years, even 5 years, that inventory is sitting over there, doing nothing, no reduction in that. You feel happy that my stock is with me and I'm getting working capital for that. But at the end of the day, there is a cost of holding that inventory in your warehouse. It's taking away space. You need to get insurance on that. You need to somebody to verify that on a monthly or quarterly basis. All that cost, if you check the cost, and obviously the space cost, if you see all those costs, it's better to get rid of that sooner than later, right? What you need to do is you need to quarterly monitor that. You need to have right stocks in your system, and then quarterly monitor the aging of those products or those items. Okay. Next one is freight invoicing audit. What we've seen, uh, freight forwarders do overbilling. We all know that. But what we have seen, the freight forwarders, if you are able to cons- check their bills on a monthly basis or audit their bills on a monthly basis for the charges they put for that. It can be port handling, it can be custom clearance, it can be n number of charges. They will come up with 10, 12 types of different charges, and it's difficult to monitor that. But if you start monitoring it, then you will realize that you will start saving around 5 to 8% of the cost which has been billed to you. This is important aspect. Start monitoring this. Then fabric and trim days of supply. What we have seen, there are items which come 45 days in advance, and there are items which don't even come 1 day in advance of production start date. How you can ensure that your stocks are available in time? You should not have more than 30 to 45 days fabric stock. Your dyes and chemicals should not be more than 20 or 25 or max 30 days. And trim should be 7 days ideally. If not, then 15 to 20 days maximum. But you need to cover non-moving stock also in that when you are checking the days that stock is lying with you. So you will realize the average days is much more because your non-moving stock is sitting over there. So start taking action on that. All right. Now let me move to the overheads. This is something which is controlled by head office, and majority of the time what we have seen, many of the costs are fixed are in a fixed nature, like rentals, like your exhibition fair. But what we've seen, something that if you start working on a zero based overhead budget, very simple thing, every year when you are budgeting in February for the next year, put every figure, every item as zero, and start challenging why do you need a budget for this. And I can assure you, if you do it diligently, you will be able to save minimum 15 to 20% on the overheads like this. This has been proven method. Not many company adapt it, but most of the consulting companies actually work on this when they're working with you on cost transformation. Indirect and direct headcount. There is a ratio of direct and indirect headcount. Direct people, when we are saying people who are connected to production, and indirect are people who are not connected to production. So in home textile, around 22% people benchmark should be there who are indirect, and in apparel it's around 18%. Now check how much is direct and indirect people that you have, and start working on rationalizing those, challenging those numbers. Because uh, if you don't control this, because over a period of time people come and ask for one position, two position, certain people are needed here, there, and over a period 6 months you will find 30, 40, 50 people have been added just like that. It's important to keep checking that number, and whenever it is going up, rationalize it. All right. Next one is your power cost. Power is becoming expensive day by day. And what we've seen, rooftop solar has been quite good for majority of the textile companies. If you have a roof space available, rooftop solar is best, right? And you will save around 25 to 30% of the energy bill. uh, if you have, you need to see how much space is available, what kind of a power that can be generated out of the solar, whether it is equally compensating on a day use of the energy that you are consuming. Rough estimate, 1 megawatt is around 3.5 to 4.5 crore, depends on the size where you're putting it up, location, what kind of material that you're using, the panels that you're using, all that are dependent on those kind of aspects. But rooftop solar, wherever it has been done, it helps you in sustainability angle also, but also it helps you in reducing your power cost. Next one on the list is travel and entertainment policy. Many companies have policy on travel and entertainment. But what we have seen, they fix budget for the level of people that they are traveling. Like at VP level, this is the budget. At general manager level, this is the budget. This is the hotel. This is the thing. But on the other hand, can we rationalize number of travel? The does do you need to really travel, or you can do by video conferencing? Those kind of things are important. Can any travel beyond 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, can fix the number, any travel beyond certain amount get into a approval system wherein at least 1 or 2 level approval is needed before the travel is initiated, because you should not be getting into a surprise of excessive travel bill at the end of the month. And we know companies have a lot of surprises in this aspect also. So this is like logistics and overheads that we have covered. There are many points. I would say each area we have almost like 50 points if we go in real deep details. But we are just covering the few of them which are very promising and uh, which bring substantial saving on logistics, inventory, and overheads. All right. Now we talk about compliance and sustainability and ESG. 10 items, we'll talk about the top items. There are two aspects that we will cover. There's a risk reduction aspect, and does it give you access to the buyer? We know that sustainability and ESG, everybody's talking about that, but does it really give you access to the buyer, and does it reduce your risk? So these two aspects that we will be covering in compliance and sustainability and ESG. Okay. Okay. Now, first important thing is many companies have restricted substances list which are applicable to their raw material, be it fabric or be it on the trims and accessories. Now, these substances which are not allowed as a dyes or restricted dyes or some chemicals which should not be used, if your suppliers are aware of it and you are very well aware about the customer and their requirement, you should be able to save cost onto that. Otherwise, you will end up post-production kind of a solution for those kind of a change remedification that or the wrong things that you have done wrong over there. So this is an important aspect. RSL, we call it restricted substances list, that needs to be vetted, verified, and it should be available with the purchase and the merchandising team, that they should not be using the material which are restricted. Then next one is water consumption reduction. Start benchmarking for dyes around 60 liter per kg or wet finishing around 30 liters per kg of material. If you benchmark those water level, check what is it that you are doing at the moment. It might be around maybe around 65, 70, 80. Start working on the ways that you can reduce it. I'm pretty sure once you install flow meter and start monitoring where excess water has been utilized, automatically you'll start getting some solutions to reduce it. Right? Now, another aspect on sustainability we talk about is the waste and revenue reduction. Now, what happens? So we have woven offcuts. Now, there are non-woven producers which would need your woven offcuts. If you are able to connect with them and give them your waste as raw material for them, it'll get you a good value out of it, and it will be a good savings for the non-woven producer also, because they will have a large setup who's supplying you them with the raw material continuously. Similarly, yarn waste can be given to recycled paper mills, terry waste can be given to industrial wiper manufacturer, and so on. So you need to find what is the waste and what industry actually uses your waste, and start connecting directly with them. No middleman in between, nobody in between. Just start direct, because they need you and you need them. So if your team can identify those companies who need your waste, and it will really help both the companies to benefit out of it. Okay, uh, it will help you to convert your cost center into a revenue stream, right? Next one is EUDR. Traceability is basically European Union deforestation regulation. Now we all know that there has been a European Union agreement which is in place, which will come into effect by next year. Now, uh, obviously, other countries are taking benefit of that, which majority of the India has been losing 9.2 to 9.5% excess duties, because they didn't have the right treaty with European Union. Now it is in place, but it will come into effect by next year. But having said that, there are strong ESG and regulations or traceability regulations which they follow, which are related to CBAM and EUDR and other aspects. 4 or 5 aspects are there. You need to start preparing for that, because come next year, your customers will start asking for it. And what we've seen in recent past, in last 2 3 months, there have a lot of inquiries which are started coming from European Union, and we've seen there has been orders which has been placed to the exporters in India from European Union. So start working on it. If you are prepared in advance, you will be able to showcase your capability to supply products in those markets as well. Okotex standard 800. Again, this is important aspect. Try direct contact Okotex audit to get Okotex certificate. Most of the companies have it. If you don't have it, take it. It's around 1.5 lakh to 3 lakh rupees audit charges, but it unlocks premium buyers for you. And obviously, you can avoid the RSL charges or chargebacks because of your certification. So just try to, if not, you are registered for Okotex, get those certification done. Next one is integrated audit program. So what happens? Bundle most of the Okotex, WORS, SEDEX, SMETA into one annual audit window. Like instead of every third day, every fifth day getting an audit done, if you have these standard audits being done, many of the buyers follow those parameters and they are happy with that. But if you are not done that, get these done. Because if you do it once for all, at least you will have a saving on an annual cost of redoing the compliances. And what we've seen, compliances not just cost you front end, but also on your manufacturing area, your work reduces drastically on the day the audits happen. And we've seen almost like 40 to 50% of the productivity losses on the days the audit happens. So if you consider that cost also, then it is a good idea to get into audit programs. Okay, I think these are overall, I think we must have covered around 40-50 items, which will help in 9 areas to reduce the cost or optimize the cost in various areas in manufacturing. And there is a laundry list of items which can be done in each area. And I'm pretty sure if you start implementing those things in your companies, it will really help you to gain that. As far as there are 9 areas which are there. We covered fabric, raw material, cutting, sewing, wet processing, quality, product development, logistics, overhead, and ESG. Now these areas are important. I think we are falling a little short of time. What I suggest is, I think if you are able to put in the chat which 2 areas you think are promising from the saving standpoint, and how, just mention those areas. Maybe the number also will find, it will help us to identify, okay, this is the majority of the issues or the saving can come from this area, and we can help you in doing that. uh, as far as the roadmap is concerned, uh, where you can start picking up the things which can be immediately implemented in 1 or 2 weeks, like cutting room waste tracker, bomb consumption audit, line efficiency display, and working on that, threat count specification audit, 5 defects Pareto in quality, SAM validation, rework on your SAM, air freight policy, that is also important, travel policy, again important aspect. All these are important aspect of your areas which you can do it in 1 or 2 weeks to implement. Then after that, 30 days plan, you can go for long-term fabric agreement. It takes little time, but if you your supplier and you have long-term relationship, you can enter into an agreement on that in terms of particular qualities that you are frequently used by a company. Little more, you can build in flexibility on some parameters, but definitely some agreement is needed in that area. Liquor ratio reduction, this is the major area. People touch upon it, people talk about it, but I've not seen majority of actions being happening in that area. So it is a part of MIS in many companies, but on the ground realities, actions are missing, right? VFD, many people know about the variable frequency drive motors, but start replacing if you don't have. Cost of poor quality tracking system, again, very good system. Many companies have it. If you don't have it, start tracking it. Freight invoicing audit, again, this is the gray area. It gets unattended by many companies, but this is an important aspect that you can look at it. RSL compliance mapping, this is also important area. And the long-term one is float a tender for an annual freight forwarder. Look at the solar feasibility to reduce your 20, 30%, 40% cost in power. And obviously, European Union requirements on traceability systems are important for you, right? Key takeaways today are: measure before you manage. If you're not measuring, you will not be able to manage. There will be a gap in that. So measure before you manage. Start with BOM, audits, RFT tracking, multiple things. Fabric is your biggest lever because it's the biggest cost. If you're able to save 2% in your fabric cost by multiple things, I can assure you, you will have better off margins. But start working on this. Third point, wet processing is expensive if it is wrong. Right first time, if you're able to improve on that number, you will be able to save a lot of money. Chemical use, oil, steam leakages, some of the areas which are matter of concern should be attended. Design decision, locked in cost. Before you make a design, fix the price, fix the cost and cost range for a product so that your design rework doesn't happen. It will bring a lot of saving. Adapt a digital designs also in your capability. ESG is a new commercial. So what happens, like, how do you leverage ESG, environmental sustainability and governance, into your day-to-day practice, and how do you leverage that with your customers? This is something your customers are looking for. If you are able to showcase a project, investment, a sustainability angle in your product, I'm pretty sure your customers will love it. Okay. How we can help? So one aspect, I think whatever we've discussed, you can go through it. You can actually do it yourself, or you can engage us in area that you think is a concern, and we can deep dive in that area. Okay, we can do diagnosis and assessment of that particular area or two areas, and then we can give you the report with the gap, with the kind of savings that it can bring. And this is the report which will help you to identify those areas and start working on it. And if you need any help, we can work with you on implementation of those gaps also. So we are not just uh, kind of telling you this is what is needed, but we actually get you to that savings, which where there are opportunities there. So we can help you uh, with the audits, initial diagnosis audit, and we can also help you with deep dive assessments also in particular areas, and your team can implement those gaps, or we can help you to monitor and get those savings in your company. All right. Uh, so we've spoken about 100 questions. Any questions that we have, we are happy to discuss. All right. You can put the questions in the chat box. I think we've already overshot on the. We can. What you can do, you can scan the QR code and get in touch with us for any requirement that you have. Also on the basic PDF, which will help you to do the audit yourself. Also, we can share with you as well. That. Okay. Now we have one surprise for you. We are offering 5 companies to get free diagnostic. If you can scan this barcode and get in, just send us your name and what area that you think you would need an audit in or a diagnosis in. We will do the free audit for first 5 companies. All right. And this is something that we always like to do with the companies who are very passionate about cost, and they would like to have some improvement in their area. We can definitely work with you and get you good amount of saving and identify the gap where actually you might be losing on that. With that, I think this presentation will be available online. You can go through it over a period of time, and if in case you need our help, we are happy to support you in your journey of cost optimization and transformation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.